If you don't know Sophie, she's one of the UK's leading hypnobirth teachers, practicing for over 11 years and helping over 1,000 families, including apprentice winner Ricky Martin, footballers Christian Eriksen and Harry Kane, and reality star Fern McCann.
How are you feeling?
All right. I'm a bit over it now, but that's pregnancy with a toddler, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
and when it's hot, it's hard.
And it's hot.
Yeah.
But
he's
yeah.
going for a sleep progression, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit of a monster at the moment, but yeah, all good apart from that.
They seem to sort of know, don't they, that things are about to change. Quite a good idea to get them that you've probably done this, that book about, about having a sibling.
Yeah, we should do that really.
You want to do a gift, don't you?
Yeah, I bought Dougie a little cooker from Mabel.
We said about kitchen. I said about kitchen, yeah. I like that idea because it's very busy hands, isn't it?
Yeah.
We got a baby, you got a kitchen. Yeah.
And how's your practice going, more importantly? Have you been listening to the MP3s and the audio?
Ish.
Right.
Finding the time is hard.
Yeah.
I try and go and have a bath in the evenings once he's in bed, and then I'll listen to the MP3s, but it's just difficult finding the time, isn't it?
Yeah, I found the first time round you so good.
Every day I was listening.
Every day, because it was just us two.
Yeah, I was relaxing a lot, sleeping a lot.
Yeah.
Just consumed.
It's hard with number 2 to find that time. Does he still have a daytime sleep?
Yes.
Could you do it then?
I sleep as well.
Well, that's perfect. You know that when you're asleep, the subconscious is still listening. So you can, the first few minutes you're going to be awake. And
so
then
listen then.
You fall asleep, then that's kind of the aim. The subconscious will listen for up to an hour.
Oh.
So just do it then. So if you are, that's why really there is kind of no excuse not to practice. Every night, just stick it on, get into bed. If you fall asleep, so be it. And then maybe towards the birth, you can spend a bit of time putting aside allocated time, even if it's
awake
the weekend.
Hours.
Awake hours.
Yeah.
So that you can practice the visualization and the breathing.
Okay.
So as well as the changes that are going on in the neural pathways that are happening through the audio and the message that's coming through them, there has to be time allowed to be so conditioned with the techniques as well. So the visualizations that you're using for the different stages of labour, and of course the breathing, which you practiced last time. So you do need to allocate, I would say maybe 10 minutes a day just to the breathing and the visualizations. Okay. And then every night when you get into bed, just put an MP3 on. Okay. And then the affirmations are your white noise when you're pottering around cooking Roman's tea or whatever, just pottering that around at home, just constantly reinforcing that birth is normal.
We can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing.
So need to make loads of time. So do you want to come, Christopher? Would you like to do the birth partner's role and just cover back over that? Yeah,
definitely. I need a refresher on
what's
needed from me, although it was only...
You're the brain, aren't you?
Yeah, 20 months
Brains of the operation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose you are. You're definitely the voice. So I see you, as the brain and also the voice, because you're the advocate of that space. You're the daddy bear. You're protecting it. And, Lizzie's going to be in her zone like she was last time, really internally focused, doing her breathing visualization. Your job is to kind of manage the space around her, really. Yeah. And there's so many things we can do, but you probably just need a little reminder of what they are.
Yeah, I've sort of been thinking, I'm hoping I'm going to just click back into birth partner mode, but...
It was so fresh in your brain last time.
Wasn't it? And it consumed us. It's all we thought about was hypno, because we didn't have a toddler, so it was easy to just focus on it. But this is, I think,
you were
useful.
In training.
Yes, that's it.
But you're experienced now as well. You've got all that knowledge behind you, and I think there comes an understanding and a reassurance that you have done it. Your body's opened. It's given birth. So that brings its own level of confidence, doesn't it? And you had such a wonderful birth.
It was such a good birth, wasn't it? Positive.
Right, so birth partner's role, I have kind of created this myself, so I call it the 4 E's. So we've got environment, so that's your first job, and the environment is very much about setting that scene to make oxytocin. So we know oxytocin is the love hormone, it's a private, shy hormone, so it needs that kind of same environment when we make our babies, private, unobserved, candlelit, Barry White.
Barry White.
Nice music going on. So we're thinking about the senses, aren't we? We're thinking about what music could we play, what smells will we be diffusing, what do you anchor well to, what smells have you practiced with in the bath, and all of those things that make you feel good. We're thinking about our birth partner's touch, so the light touch, which is that barely stroking where we're making endorphins for mum, but also the heavier stuff that we did last time when we did the training together, which is more like the hands-on-hands massage, bit of work with the rebozo, releasing the pelvis, and just that counter pressure really in second stage when babies come in. So we can cover that later. Yeah, so we've got smells, we've got lighting. So important, the lighting. We know that oxytocin isn't produced under bright lights. We know that that is more likely to produce things like adrenaline, which is not the friend of labour. So we want to make sure we've got our tea lights packed in our birth bag, or maybe some fairy lights, or whatever you plan to use. And some women would go as far to have maybe an eye mask, just in case there's a situation where they're travelling in the car and it was bright, say, or they just wanted that kind of cocoon.
That's a very good idea, because we didn't do that. It was lucky we went into labour in the middle of the night, and it was December, so it was dark most of the time.
But the daytime,
if it is during the day. And I remember there was a bit of a hoo-ha first time you were floating in the pool. So I don't remember the light.
No, the blinds didn't work.
Yeah.
And I was.
And sometimes, it's the NHS, sometimes the light strip doesn't turn off or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a massive advocate of having like yourself blocked off from the world, so like with headphones and an eye mask, because I feel communication with mum's key.
Yeah.
But I do think sometimes it has a place just to stick one in your bag in case you're even for transitioning into the hospital, just for a car. It can be quite nice to have your headphones on and an eye mask maybe just to get in your zone, because I always feel like the transition into the unit is one of the hardest parts. Because you're travelling and you're moving, you've got to get in and out of the car. Quite often you have to engage with a midwife when you get there, so you're not constantly using your technique, so it's challenging that moment until you've set up that nest and that environment. It can be quite challenging time, part of labour.
That's right, we'll do that.
So the environment, we've got smells, we've got lighting, we've got music. Obviously you can take things in from home, so I would normally recommend things like your own pillow, blankets, but obviously it'll be summer, so you might not need that. What is it, September?
October.
You may do. They can be chilly at night, can't they, the units?
Yeah.
But anything that's a good visual, so especially now you've got Roman, you can have a nice picture of him, your inspiration. Look at this reward you get at the end, the goal. So you could have some pictures from around.
That's a good idea.
We didn't take pictures last time, did we?
We didn't have a baby last time.
No, I know, but like affirmations.
Yeah, affirmations would be great. Write those out, your favourite ones, stick them around the birthing room. You can have your note on the door, which I gave you last time, the printout, we're hypnobirthing, stuck to the door. So anyone that comes into your environment is honouring the language and the tone of the room and how it should be. And normally people are guided by you. If Chris is really quiet and there's not loads of conversation and voices are kept low and lights are low, anyone walking in is going to honour that and respect that. So
that's good.
But environment is key. So energy, really key. We know it takes thousands of calories to give birth. So you're only fooling yourself if you don't put those glucose in and that fuel in. So I normally say when you go into labour, have a really good complex slow release meal, something big that will sustain you. And then you're going to be nibbling all the way through, just keeping that energy level up, especially just before second stage. So one of Christopher's roles is to make sure that you're eating and you're hydrated, especially hydrated. But just before second stage, when you're breathing your baby down, you're going to need loads of fuel. So something that will get in there quick, maybe those little pouches. I think we discussed them before. You can use energy like pouches and supplements. I'm not a big fan of them. I feel like all the electrolytes that are in coconut water would do just as well.
Right, okay.
But just pack a mix of different things, because you never know, if you might feel a bit sicky, you might want something quite dry, you might not want the fruity stuff. So just a good mix. And Christopher has to have his own food because we don't want him stealing yours.
That was the trickiest part last time, wasn't it?
Getting food in me.
And drink and water.
Why was that?
I was so
Sick.
I went
away,
to my zone, my happy place, so I wasn't even in the room. So then they were saying you could be getting dehydrated, and then we'll have to take you out the pool, put you on a drip. You don't want that to happen.
No, you don't.
So I'm like floating, and you were putting the straw in my mouth, weren't you?
And it's the most simple thing, but you're so right. If they see that ketosis in your urine, they're going to then start talking about interventions. And we don't want that. No. Simple to avoid. We need to stay hydrated constantly. So I would say little sips through a straw in between each surge of something useful, like a coconut water that's got all the salts and the electrolytes in it. It's not just water, and some sugar and some glucose in there. And then little nibbles of food all the way through, whatever your choice of food is, but something that is useful, that's going to sustain you.
Yeah.
And joking apart, hangry birth partners are rubbish, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you need to eat
really
as well,
do
Chris.
get hangry, don't you?
I was all right last time.
Your mum told me about 4 o'clock, Christopher.
Yeah.
And apparently it's been since he was like 4 years old. But if it gets to 4 o'clock and he hasn't eaten, it's not very nice.
No.
I think we're all like that.
They was feeding me toast and tucked me in, didn't they?
They tucked him in, into the bed.
That was nice. That was nice of them.
Yeah.
And who knows? You might not have as much time this time to get all of that food in, but it is key that it's a big job and we need the fuel to do it.
Yeah.
So what goes in must come out. So my next E is empty. So that means that a full bladder will hinder a baby's descent. So one of the questions they ask you on arrival is when did they last empty their bladder and bowel? So it's good if you've got, when you time the surges, and I would just do that old school with a watch and a pen and paper, how long they're lasting, how frequently they're coming. And we're looking for sort of 3 and 10 minutes lasting a minute to be kind of established labour, really. So maybe an hour or so of that before we start thinking, okay, right, well, this is definitely it. You'll know. Women always say to me, when will we know? But you just know. Yeah. You know when that pattern is established. You know when it feels different, when it feels stronger. Yeah. You'll observe her behaviour changing because you'll see that she's moving and ahhing, and she's very much in her zone as well, which hypnobirthing women are. They do seem, and they cope very well, which is why often midwives don't think they're as far on as they are.
Yeah.
But back to the empty. So a full bladder will hinder baby's descent. So it's really simple, isn't it? Yeah. Little and often, when babies are descending, it can be more difficult to go to the toilet. So I would just say, little festival wee, a standing up wee is more likely, in a squat to get a little bit more out. I find with my clients that I've doulaed, that can be an effective way to go. Right. Obviously, if you're in the pool, you can just go in the pool. It's fine. Yeah. But sometimes the transition of getting out of the pool and having a little walk and the change of that can help as well.
Yeah.
But just little and often, just try and keep going all the time. Obviously, you're probably likely to empty your bowel as labour begins, and then, as you know, towards the end, as the baby's head's pushing against the bowel, you may release your bowels as well. Yeah. And that's a really good indicator to us that baby's coming, that you're nearly there. And that's why women aren't given enemas anymore, because it's a visual marker to us that we're getting further on. And they're ninjas with their little sieves, fishing net.
Fishing from poop.
And obviously, if you're on a bed, then we're also ninjas at whipping.
Yeah.
And I think it's the thing that a lot of women worry about, but it's everyone is in awe of what that woman is doing. They couldn't care less. What body fluids are involved.
No, I think it is a fear. I went on maybe your first baby, but now I'm like,
we cheer for poo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Team poo. Yeah. Okay, so that's empty. And then the last one is emotion. So actually, just going back to that empty, the energy in empty is very much your job. Mm-hmm. So because Lizzie's going to be in her zone, it's your job to think, right, she hasn't really been to the loo for a good hour. I'm going to try and encourage her to take a walk with me to the toilet, sit there for a while and see if she can go. Or she definitely didn't really eat any of that earlier, that sandwich. I'm going to really try and see if I can get something in her, because she's not going to be thinking, oh, I'm hungry, or oh, I need food. Your job is you're on it with the energy. Yeah. Okay. So emotion is the techniques. Emotion is all of the techniques that you've learned, which we're going to cover in a minute. We'll do a little refresher on the ball. But they are for the different stages of labour. So obviously we've got separate ones for stage 1 when we're dilating. We've got a separate birth breath, and then lots of things to consider in stage 3 when we're doing our birth preferencing, which we can cover today as well. And all of this, as you well know, is really supportive of stage 4. So when we have a positive, active, drug-free intervention for birth, that transition into parenthood and stage 4 is generally much easier. Yeah. So it's a win for you.
You was fantastic, weren't you?
Yeah.
Stage 4.
I'm sure once he was out and once the placenta was out, first time round, I went, had a shower, brushed my teeth, brushed my hair, put some face cream on, and I could have gone shopping at Lakeside. Honestly.
You looked like we just had a coffee somewhere. I was like, you just experienced this huge trauma. I was like, holding the baby for the first time. I was like, you okay? You're like, yeah, I'm right, you right?
Yeah.
I think that was the point. It wasn't a trauma. Yeah, it was a massive movement of energy. It was a huge, powerful experience for you. but it wasn't a trauma. And I feel
I don't look at it as trauma.
No, it wasn't. It was a really positive, beautiful birth. And the difference between pain is a physical response to stimulus, really, but suffering is a psychological one. So yes, you're going to have to experience pain. It's a really good thing that we actually need to work with. We need to feel the pain to work with it. Yeah. But suffering is psychological. So women that tend to do my techniques and my program don't suffer. They may experience pain, but there's a big difference between the two.
It's true.
So Chris, are you feeling a little bit more confident about your role?
Yes, I was pretty good with environment.
Yeah, you've got that down to a T, I think.
Well, I just think we've spoken about it a lot.
Yeah.
But the next to energy and empty really needed to remind me of.
Yeah, I needed to hear that.
Just refresh me of what you were like as well.
And what an influence it can have over birth. Something so simple, can be lost in the moment, and it can really change the way a birth goes. So I would say, you know that now, remember that.
Yes. And
just take a little note so that when you're labouring at home, you've got that information to hand over to the midwife. Lizzie last ate at this time, she emptied her bowel bladder at this time, and the surges are coming in this kind of pattern.
We were pretty good last time, weren't we?
Yeah, writing it down.
Good.
Yeah.
So I don't normally recommend apps for that. I just, because I feel like it's an app.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gives you the wrong information.
It was on the notes page. It wasn't in an app.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect. And then the techniques we'll go back over now, so you feel refreshed with that, because it's really important that Dad is on board with that, so that if Mum has a wobble, she might not, but you may, that you're there and you've got that toolkit to bring Lizzie back to her state of calm and just that reminder, oh yeah, I've got this, that's fine. So we'll go back over it now. Okay. So actually, Chris, you could do your light touch while Lizzie's doing her little refresher.
I'll come to here.
Yeah. And that's quite a common sort of active birth position to be in, with Dad sitting behind and Mum in front. Is your dignity covered?
Yeah. Luckily, it's a long one.
Okay, so Lizzie, just close down your eyes. I'm just going to begin to focus on the breath. Becoming aware of the inhale, how it's slightly cooler than the breath on the exhale. Becoming aware of the sound of your breathing within your ears. And just becoming aware of any pockets of tension in your body. Is there anywhere where you're holding or you feel tight or tense? And if there is, could you send your breath down to that place? Inhale, let. Exhale, go. So we're going to begin the visualization for first stage of labour. So let's imagine that labour's begun. You're feeling those first surges and you're feeling that excitement rise within you. And you know this is the day you will meet your baby. And we're just going to take a breath into the crown of the head. And as you exhale, just feeling like you're releasing all the muscles with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then as the surge begins, you're going to begin your visualization, which we practiced before. Stay focused on that imagery. And as that surge gets stronger and stronger, you just breathe deeper. The breath is your superpower. Every surge, bringing your baby closer to you. I'm feeling now like that surge might be leaving your body, just ebbing away. Completing the last visualization now. And then when you feel ready, take a gentle inhale to the crown of the head. And exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax.